The Galactic Council chamber was always full of light, floating holograms, soft energy lines, calm voices speaking in many alien languages. It was a center of peace for more than 800 star systems. Every species that reached space was invited here. Every species, except one, Earth. For many cycles, Earth never appeared. At first, the Council did not care. Earth was a young civilization, still new, still primitive in their eyes. They will come when they are ready, one counselor said. But years passed, then decades, then centuries. Still no Earth, no message, no ship, no signal, only silence. The Council begins to forget. Slowly, Earth became a forgotten name in reports. Some species even joked about it. A world that does not attend meetings cannot matter, one ambassador said. Others agreed. There were more important matters. Wars on the outer rims, trade disputes, new species rising, old empires falling. Earth was too far away, too quiet, so the Council stopped waiting. And eventually they stopped noticing. On Earth, unknown to the galaxy. But Earth was not gone. Earth was changing. Deep under oceans, humans built silent research stations. Hidden under mountains, they tested new energy systems. In orbit, small secret satellites watched everything. Humanity had learned something early. The universe was not kind. The universe did not wait. And most importantly, the universe did not forgive weakness. So Earth stayed silent. Not because it was lost, but because it was learning. The first signal. One day, far beyond known space, a Council monitoring station detected something strange. A weak signal. Then another. Then thousands. At first, it looked like noise. A glitch. A broken transmission from deep space. A junior technician said, "It is nothing. Probably background radiation." But the system did not agree. The signal kept growing. Stronger, clearer, more structured. Then suddenly, every monitor in the station turned black for exactly 3 seconds. Then came a single line of data. Unknown origin, Sol system. The technician froze. "No, that system is empty," he said quietly. But the system updated again. Signal confirmed. Massive energy detected. Council alarm. Within hours, the Galactic Council was an emergency session. Holographic screens filled the chamber. Dozens of species appeared, speaking over each other. This must be a mistake. No civilization in that region has that level of energy output. We checked that system centuries ago. It was empty, but the data did not lie. Something in the Sol system had awakened, and it was powerful, very powerful. First contact attempt. The Council followed protocol. A message was sent. Simple, peaceful. "We are the Galactic Council. Identify yourselves. We come in peace." Then they waited. 1 hour. No answer. 10 hours. No answer. 1 day. Still nothing. Some council members became irritated. "They are ignoring us," one said. Others were more cautious. "Or they are not able to respond." Another voice added, "Or they're choosing not to." That line made the chamber quiet. Strange reactions. 2 days passed. Then 5. Still silence from Earth. But the strange part was not the silence. It was what happened around the Sol system. Scout drones sent to observe the region stopped reporting. Communication cut instantly. No distress signal. No warning. Just silence. One by one, every probe disappeared. The Council began to feel uneasy. A senior strategist spoke. "This is not natural. Something is removing our eyes." A fear spread through the chamber. Not fear of war. Fear of unknown intent. Growing suspicion. More ships were sent. Stronger ones. Better shields. Better scanners. None returned. At first, the Council tried to stay calm. But the reports became worse. Entire fleets were losing contact near the Sol boundary. No wreckage. No debris. Just silence after entry. A young ambassador finally said what others feared. "What if Earth is not lost but hiding?" The room did not answer, because no one wanted to imagine that possibility. The old records. A historian accessed ancient archives, dusty records from thousands of cycles ago. Earth had once been marked as Class 0 civilization, non-threatening, no interstellar capability. But something strange appeared in the notes. A warning, removed from official reports later. It read, observation incomplete. Planet shows unusual adaptability. Recommend limited interaction. But it had been ignored, deleted, forgotten. Now, those old words return like a shadow. The final message begins. Then it happened. A deep space communication array suddenly activated. No one triggered it. No command was sent. It just turned on, and a signal came through. Clear, strong, human. The entire council froze. A voice spoke. We know you are watching. Silence filled the chamber. The voice continued. You've been sending probes. Another pause. Then, they did not return. A council member whispered, This is Earth. The voice did not stop. You assumed silence meant weakness. But silence was observation. Another pause. Longer this time. Then the final line. We will attend your council when we choose. And the transmission ended. After the message, no one spoke. Not for a long time. The chamber that was always full of voices was now empty of them. Finally, a council elder asked, What have we awakened? No one answered, because deep inside they already knew. Earth was not primitive. Earth was not lost. Earth was not silent because it had nothing to say. It was silent because it was listening. And now it had finally spoken, far beyond the council. In the dark space near the Sol system, something moved. Not one ship, not 10, thousands, hidden for centuries, waiting, watching, learning, and now responding. The galaxy had believed Earth was small, but in silence, Earth had become something else, something prepared, something patient, something dangerous. And the Council had just heard its first real voice. The Galactic Council chamber was no longer calm. It had never felt like this before. The same chamber that once discussed trade routes, alliances, and distant wars now felt heavy, quiet, unstable. Every species present had heard the message, We will attend your council when we choose. That single line kept repeating in every mind. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. Confusion turns into fear. A council diplomat tried to speak first. This could be a trick, he said quickly. An unknown species using old human language recordings. Another voice responded, No, the signal pattern is real. It is not copied. The room went silent again. A third officer stood up. We lost 12 probe fleets in that system. That cannot be coincidence. No one replied, because there was no simple answer left. Earth was not silent anymore. Far away, in the Sol system, Earth orbit was no longer empty. What the Council once thought was a dead region was alive. Hidden stations began activating one by one. Not large, not visible, just silent structures drifting in dark space. They had been there for decades, some for centuries, built slowly, built carefully, built without attention. And now, they were waking up. The Council sends a warning fleet. The Council could not stay passive anymore. A decision was made. A contact enforcement fleet would be sent, not for war, officially, but to show presence and control the situation. The fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships, shielded cruisers, diplomatic vessels, observation carriers. From many species of the Council, they entered Sol system border space slowly, carefully, every scanner active, every weapon offline. They wanted peace, but they were ready for anything. At least, they thought they were. First strange event. As the fleet crossed the outer boundary of the Sol system, something happened. Every navigation system flickered, not broken, not destroyed, just overridden for a second, then restored. A technician shouted, We lost coordinate lock for 3 seconds. Another replied, Same here. Then silence, because all ships realized something worse. Every single one of them had experienced the same glitch at the exact same time, across hundreds of vessels. Perfect synchronization. That was not natural, That was control. The hidden eyes of Earth. Inside deep space near Jupiter's orbit, something watched. Not one system. Many. Hidden sensors embedded in asteroid fields. Invisible drone clusters. Silent orbital platforms. They did not shine. They did not signal. They simply existed. And they were tracking everything. One operator on Earth's surface spoke calmly in a dark underground facility. They entered phase line 3. Another replied, confirmed, fleet composition matches prediction models. A third voice added, they still think they're observing us. A short pause, then let them think that. The human council room, deep beneath Earth, inside a mountain facility, humans gathered. Not many, just a few dozen, different nations, different languages, but one purpose. They were not the Galactic Council. They were something else. They were the Earth Strategic Defense Network. A woman at the center spoke softly. They sent a fleet. A man replied, yes, slow approach, no weapons active. Another officer checked the data. They are testing us. A silence followed. Then the woman said, no, they're still deciding if we are real. That statement changed the room's mood, because it was true. Earth's long preparation. Humanity had not built its fleet in panic. It had taken time. A long time. First came hidden mining operations in the asteroid belt, then secret energy farms behind dark moons, then artificial intelligence systems designed only for one thing, survival prediction. Human scientists had studied the galaxy carefully, not just technology, but behavior, patterns, history, and they learned something important. Every peaceful civilization that looked weak was eventually taken. So Earth chose a different path. Not aggression, not expansion, just readiness. Council fleet enters inner system. The Council fleet moved deeper. Near Mars orbit now. Still no contact. Still no resistance. One captain spoke nervously. This is too quiet. Another replied, maybe they are not advanced enough to respond. But even he did not believe his own words anymore, because the silence felt controlled, like a stage waiting for actors, not an empty world. First Earth signal, not a warning. Suddenly, every ship received a new transmission, but this one was different. It was not a voice. It was a map, a full 3D structure of the Sol system, every asteroid base, every hidden platform, every orbital defense layer. Everything, fully exposed. A council scientist whispered, they are showing themselves. Another corrected him. No, they're allowing us to see what they want us to see. Then the final line appeared in the transmission. You are not in danger. You are being measured. Council panic begins to grow. That message changed everything, because it was not a threat. It was not fear. It was judgment. A senior council leader shouted, this is unacceptable. We're the Galactic Council. But his voice had no power anymore, because power is not declared. It is proven. And right now, Earth was proving something silently. The fleet stops moving. Suddenly, all Council ships stopped. Not physically, but mentally. Their systems froze again. This time longer. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. Then control returned. But something was wrong. A ship engineer reported, our systems were accessed, not hacked, observed. Another replied, all ships experience identical observation logs. The captain whispered, they're inside our systems. But the response came immediately from command. No, they are outside. We are just open to them. That realization caused fear, not because Earth was attacking, but because Earth already had access. Without permission, without resistance, without effort. Earth's final message of Part 2. Then another transmission arrived. This time, directly to the Council's central chamber. The human voice returned. Calm, simple, final. You came into our system without understanding us. A pause. You thought silence was absence. Another pause. But silence was preparation. Then the last sentence. We are not your enemy. A longer pause. Then, but we are no longer your subject of curiosity. The transmission ended. The fleet sees it. At that exact moment, the Council fleet finally saw something outside their windows. Not weapons, not explosions, not ships firing, just presence. Thousands of structures slowly activating across space. Silent, massive, perfectly arranged. And for the first time, the Council fleet understood something very clearly. They were not the observers anymore. They were the ones being observed. The Council fleet was no longer confident. What began as a control mission had turned into something else. Something they could not understand. They were deep inside the Sol system now. Too deep. And the silence around them was not empty. It was intentional. Every ship in the fleet felt it, like invisible eyes watching. Not hostile, not friendly, just aware. Systems start to fail slowly. At first, it was small problems. A navigation delay, a sensor mismatch, a communication lag. Nothing serious. But then it spread. One ship reported, "Our targeting system is offline." Another followed, "Our shields are responding without command." Then another, "We are not controlling our own diagnostics anymore." Panic started to rise. Not loud, but deep, because every failure was identical across all ships. At the exact same time. That was impossible in natural systems, unless something was controlling them all. Inside Earth's hidden command, deep under the surface of Earth, the command center was calm. Too calm. Humans watched data streams flowing across massive screens. No shouting, no confusion, only quiet voices. A young analyst spoke. "They're fully inside inner orbital zone." An older commander nodded. "Good. Phase is complete." Another asked, "Should we activate outer reveal?" The commander paused for a second, then said, "Yes. Let them see what they ignored." A small red light turned green, and somewhere in space something opened. Space starts to break like glass. Near Jupiter's orbit, the Council fleet noticed something strange. Space itself began to distort, not violently, but smoothly, like a curtain being pulled aside. A massive structure appeared, then another, then dozens more. They were not ships at first. They looked like dark shapes inside folded space. Then light hit them, and everything changed because they were ships, not small ones, not standard warships, but enormous fleet carriers. And behind them, more ships, hundreds, then thousands. A council officer whispered, "No, that cannot be." But the sensors confirmed it. Every reading matched. Massive human-made warships, hidden inside folded space pockets. The 1,000 warships reveal. The space around the fleet opened wider and wider until it looked like reality itself was splitting. From that opening, they came out, slowly, silently, perfect formation, one after another, not chaotic, not random, controlled, precise. 1,000 warships, then 2,000, then more. Each ship carried the same symbol, Earth, but not the old Earth symbol the Council had recorded centuries ago. This one was different, stronger, sharper, like a warning written into metal. The Council fleet froze completely. No one spoke, no one moved, because every screen showed the same impossible truth. Earth had never been weak. Human voice returns. A transmission came again. Calm, controlled, same human voice. "This is your first real view." A pause. "You were never alone in this system." Another pause. "You were never unobserved." The Council commander finally responded. "Why hide this power?" The answer came immediately. Because power does not need attention. Silence followed. Heavy silence. Then the human voice continued. "You came into our system assuming we were behind you, but you were walking inside our territory. Demonstration without war." Suddenly, a Council cruiser fired an accidental defensive pulse. It was a mistake, a reflex, a system glitch. But the moment it fired, everything stopped. The energy pulse froze in mid-space, like time itself had been paused. Every ship watched it. Frozen light, frozen motion, frozen energy. Then the human voice spoke again. That was unnecessary. And the pulse disappeared, not destroyed, not reflected, Just gone. Like it never existed. A council engineer screamed. They erased a quantum energy burst. Another replied in shock. Without visible reaction, the captain whispered, "This is not war technology. This is control of physics." Earth's fleet moves. The 1,000 ships began to move. Not toward the council fleet. Not aggressively. Just repositioning. Surrounding space. Forming a wide sphere around all council ships. No escape. No attack. Just containment. A perfect structure. One council admiral shouted, "They are encircling us." Another answered quietly, "No, they are defining the boundary of engagement." That sentence made everyone silent again, because it was true. Earth was not attacking. Earth was deciding the rules. Human philosophy revealed. The human commander spoke again. "You are afraid." A pause. "That is normal." Another pause. "But understand this. The ships around the council fleet glowed slightly. Not weapons charging, but systems activating, sensors adjusting, reality mapping. You entered a system built long before your arrival. We did not expand outward. We expanded inward carefully." A council scientist finally spoke. "You built all this in silence?" The answer came. "Yes." No pride, no emotion, just fact, the truth about Earth. Then the message became heavier. You believed Earth was isolated, but Earth was learning. A pause. Every war you fought, we studied. Every collapse you suffered, we recorded. Every species that vanished, we analyzed. The council chamber felt colder, even through ship communication, because now they understood something. Earth had not been absent. Earth had been present. Quietly, patiently, for a very long time. Council realization begins. A young council officer finally spoke. "So all our strategies..." A pause. "You already know them?" The human voice responded. "We know more than that." Another pause. "We know how you think." Silence. Then the final line. "And we know what you'll do next." That broke something in the council fleet, because prediction removes freedom. And humans had just implied they could predict everything. No threat, only truth. But then something unexpected happened. The human commander added, "We are not here to destroy you." A pause. "We are not here to replace you." Another pause. "We are here to ensure you do not mistake silence for weakness again." The fleet stayed still. No one moved, because this was not conquest. This was correction. Final moment of part 3. The 1,000 warships slowly stopped moving. Perfect formation. Surrounding the council fleet. Not threatening, but abs. Then the human voice delivered one final line. "You wanted contact." A pause. "Now you have it." Another pause. "But understand this clearly." The space around them seemed to tighten. Not physically, but emotionally. Earth does not attend meetings anymore to be judged. A final silence. Then, Earth attends when decide the outcome. The transmission ended. The space around a council fleet was no longer normal space. It felt controlled, not in a visible way, but in a deeper sense. Every ship, every system, every signal felt like it was inside a boundary that could not be crossed. The 1,000 Earth warships held position in a perfect sphere. No movement, no aggression, only presence. And inside that silence, the Galactic Council finally understood something important. They were not guests. They were not invaders. They were observed variables in someone else's controlled space. Fear without war. No weapons had fired. No explosions had happened. And yet, fear was everywhere. Because fear does not always come from destruction. Sometimes it comes from understanding. A council officer whispered, "We are completely surrounded." Another replied, "No, we are completely understood." That sentence spread faster than any alarm, because it was worse than being trapped. It meant someone already knew every possible outcome. Earth speaks again. The human voice returned. Calm. Still no anger. Still no pride. Just certainty. "You came here to evaluate us." A pause. "But you never defined the standard." Another pause. "So we defined it for you." The council chamber remained silent. Even the most powerful species present did not interrupt, because now they realized every word from Earth was not emotional. It was structural, like laws of nature being explained. The hidden history of silence. The human commander continued. You think we ignored your counsel? A pause. We did not. Another pause. We observed it. A projection appeared inside every ship. Not data, not weapons, but history. The council saw itself, not as it believed it was, but as Earth had recorded it. Every war, every collapse, every betrayal, every system failure, every ignored warning from weaker species, and every moment power replaced morality. A council scientist whispered, "They have been tracking us." Another replied, "For centuries." The projection ended, and silence returned even heavier. Why Earth never came? The council finally asked a question no one had dared to ask. A senior diplomat spoke. Why did you never attend before? The human voice answered slowly. Because attendance implies equality. A pause. And you never treated the galaxy equally. Another pause. So we waited. The council did not respond, because there was no argument against it. The real strength of Earth. Then something changed. The Earth fleet shifted slightly. Not toward attack, but alignment, like a system preparing for a final demonstration. The human voice spoke again. You measure strength in weapons. A pause. We measure strength in endurance. Another pause. You measure power in conquest. A pause. We measure power in survival. The space around them shimmered, not visually, but perceptually, like reality itself was being explained more clearly. The council's mistake. A young alien officer finally broke silence. We did not mean harm. The human voice interrupted. We know. A pause. That is what makes it worse. Silence again. Because it was true. Most civilizations did not destroy out of hatred. They destroyed out of assumption. Assumption of superiority. Assumption of safety. Assumption that silence equals weakness. Earth's final demonstration. Then it happened. The 1,000 ships began to move again, but differently this time. They did not tighten the sphere. They expanded it, slowly, perfect symmetry, until the council fleet was no longer surrounded tightly, but held within a vast structure, like a galaxy-shaped cage, but not made of force, made of understanding. A council engineer reported, they are mapping every possible escape vector. Another replied, enclosing none of them. That was the most terrifying part, because there was no need to close exits. If every exit was already known. Human message of judgment. The commander spoke once more. You are not prisoners. A pause. You are not enemies. Another pause. You are representatives of a system that forgot humility. Silence again. Then the final line of judgment. So we are correcting perception. No anger. No punishment. Only correction. That word echoed more than any threat ever could. The council response. For the first time, the Galactic Council did something rare. It listened. A senior council elder spoke carefully. What do you want from us? A long silence followed. Then the human answer came. Nothing. A pause. That is the point. Another pause. You assume every contact is demand. But we do not require your submission. A final pause. We require your awareness. Understanding begins to break fear. Slowly. Something shifted inside the council fleet. Fear did not disappear, but it changed shape. It became understanding. One species representative spoke quietly. So, you are not here to conquer us? The answer came immediately. No. Another question. Then why reveal all this power? The human voice responded. Because you only respect what you fear. A pause. And fear without understanding becomes destruction. Silence followed again, this time calmer. Earth's true message. Then the final explanation began. You believed Earth was absent. A pause. But we were simply not participating in your assumptions. Another pause. We did not reject the galaxy. We rejected the idea that silence is weakness. The Earth fleet slowly dimmed its energy output. Not shutting down, but relaxing, like a system no longer under threat. The moment of choice. The human commander spoke one last time. Now you have a choice. A pause. Return to your council. Continue as before. Or understand what you have seen. A final pause. But remember, the 1,000 ships held still. Perfect silence again. We do not repeat demonstrations. And then silence. Complete. After the silence, the council fleet did not move for a long time. No one issued commands. No one spoke, because something fundamental had changed. They had arrived to evaluate Earth. But now they were the ones evaluated, not through force, but through exposure. A senior admiral finally whispered, "We were never in control of this mission." Another replied, "We were never in control of anything here." Earth withdrew slightly. Slowly, the 1,000 warships began to fade, not retreating, not escaping, just disengaging observation mode. One by one, they did not leave the system. They simply stopped being visible in standard scans. But the council knew they were still there, watching, not waiting for war, but for understanding. Final transmission. One last message arrived. Simple, short, final, contact established. A pause. No further action required. Then, remember this moment. And the transmission ended. End of Part 4 final. The Galactic Council returned to their space changed. Not destroyed. Not conquered. But permanently aware. Earth did not fire a single shot in anger. It did not demand obedience. It did not seek territory. It simply revealed the truth. The galaxy had never been alone. And silence was never empty. It was prepared.